News every 15 minutes, weather every 10, and sports twice an hour.
Newstalk, KGVO, AM 1290 and 101.5 FM.
You're listening to Montana Morning with Peter Christian.
Lake County claiming poverty when it comes to prosecuting felonies on the reservation. Good morning, everyone. Montana Morning. Congratulations, you made it. It's Friday, January 13th. Yes, you wonderful triskaidekaphobiacs. It's Friday the 13th, and it's cold. 8 degrees below zero right now. Brr. Aiming for a high of only 10 above. Roads around the area, either bare and dry or some bare and wet spots. There are some frosty areas. Of course, with this cold temperature, please use extreme caution this morning. Our newscast is sponsored by Selway Armory on Stockyard Road with more guns and ammo than anyone in Missoula. The best prices in Montana, Montana's premier firearms dealer. Lake County commissioners say the county can no longer afford to investigate and prosecute felonies on the Flathead Indian Reservation. Commissioners voted unanimously yesterday in support of a resolution to ask the state to consider withdrawing from an agreement that gives counties jurisdiction over felonies on reservations. They hope the move will prompt the federal government to help cover some of the $2 million annual cost. Commissioner Dave Stipe says he thinks it would cost the federal government less to help the county than to have federal agents do the work. The Lake County Sheriff's Office wants to continue the agreement, saying a change won't save any money because deputies would still have to respond to reported crimes. Tribal Police Chief Craig Couture said such a move would allow murders, rapes, and drug cases to fall through the cracks. As we reported yesterday, an internal study of VA clinics recently reduced the rating for Montana's Fort Harrison from 2 stars to 1. Unlike star ratings for hotels and restaurants, the VA grades on a bell curve, meaning there are 12 facilities that get the highest and 12 that get the lowest. Fort Harrison Public Affairs Officer Mike Garcia told our John King yesterday the study reflects conditions during last summer, which was a transitional time for the hospital after Director Johnny Ginnity posted his resignation.
Many people who watch the VA in Montana closely might remember that last summer was a bit of a tumultuous time for us here in the state. And so things like best place to work, RN turnover, some other employee-related measured metrics, it wouldn't be surprising that last summer those scores might be a little lower.
Garcia points out the study is complex with 26 different metrics, some of which can seem contradictory. For the past 4 quarters, Fort Harrison has shown improvement when it comes to the category of veterans' experience of care for mental health, and yet by another metric it received a dismal rating.
There's one area where we've been among the lowest in the nation, and that metric area is called mental health continuity of care. And that measures not only how fast we get a veteran in for mental health, but also how we get the report back. Well, there's kind of a unique challenge in Montana because we're rural. We have about 1/5 of our veterans who receive mental health care doing it in the community.
Montana's legislative leaders are trying to cut off Commissioner of Political Practices Jonathan Modell's pay. The move by House Speaker Austin Knudsen and Senate President Scott Sales is an apparent attempt to force Modell to leave the office amid a legal dispute over whether Modell's term ended January 1st. The Republicans sent Secretary of State Corey Stapleton an undated letter asking Stapleton to withhold Modell's salary until a new commissioner is appointed. Sales says he's taking the request to the Department of Administration on Stapleton's recommendation. Modell said he was unaware of Knudsen's and Sales' letter, but cutting off his pay won't cause him to quit working. The Amber Alert program administered by the Montana Department of Justice is looking at today, a date which has a special significance to missing children everywhere. Coordinator of Montana's Amber Alert program, Jennifer Viets, said there'll be a statewide test of the Amber Alert this morning at 10 a.m., the anniversary of the very first Amber Alert.
Now, January 13th, National Amber Alert Day, is a memorial to Amber Hagerman. And she was a young lady that was abducted while riding her bike in front of her grandparents' home in Texas. And this is when the first Amber Alert process began because her family and law enforcement, that's the first time they work with media to notify the public.
Amber Alerts have become a way of life in the U.S. with many success stories here in Montana.
Montana's also had a very successful Amber Alert program. We began our program in 2003, and there have been 32 Amber Alerts issued since then. And we've been able to locate all 47 children that were involved in those alerts, and I want to thank the public for their support because it's through their tips and their assistance that we were able to accomplish that.
The statewide Amber Alert test is at 10 o'clock this morning, so be ready for it. This is National Human Trafficking Awareness Week as well. 2 individuals in Missoula are working in their own fields to end the modern scourge of human slavery. Kimberly Dudick is a legislator currently serving at the session in Helena. She's introduced a bill that would affect websites that advertise personal ads, such as Backpage.com.
We recently saw that Backpage.com, which was one of the most popular sites for human trafficking advertising, that it agreed to take down its adult content, its websites that was advertising the human trafficking or the escort services. And that's great, but we know that it will just migrate to another site.
Lowell Hochhalter is the chaplain of the Missoula County Sheriff's Office who works with school kids to address the causes of human trafficking. He praised Montana Attorney General Tim Fox and the State Justice Department.
Tim Fox and his team pushed a bill out, I believe it was last year, House Bill 89, that really came out to protect victims of human trafficking, increase the legislation, and really empowered law enforcement officers to not only fight human trafficking, but to protect the victim.
Hochhalter said Montana has vastly improved its efforts to curb human trafficking.
Montana actually, from 2015 to 2016, went from, on the human trafficking report card, went from a D up to an A. And a lot of that was because of the legislation that was involved there.
Hochhalter encouraged the use of the National Human Trafficking Hotline. It's 1-888-373-7888. And finally, Montana Senator Steve Daines has condemned the Department of the Interior's BLM results of what he termed their, quote, laughable comprehensive public review of the nation's federal coal program. In a letter to President-elect Donald Trump in December, Daines urged the president-elect to reverse the moratorium on coal leasing.
Despite our best efforts to ensure that Montanans' voices were heard, the Obama administration has denied our input for reforms to the federal coal program that jeopardizes good-paying jobs and tax revenues that support our schools, our roads, and essential services for our rural communities, including the Crow tribe.
Daines said he's looking forward to working with the pro-American energy administration when Donald Trump enters the White House.
I very much look forward in 9 days to President-elect Trump assuming the office of presidency and Secretary Zinke, who will reverse the moratorium on coal leasing that unleashes American energy and innovation and will expand good, high-paying energy jobs.
Daines said Montana has the nation's largest estimated recoverable coal reserves. Our News Talk time now is 6:12.
Newstalk, KGVO.
Missoula's official weather station.
A frigid start in the Missoula Valley this morning. Expect us to remain sub-zero for much of the early morning hours. Then up to right around 11 this afternoon. Also look for a little bit of patchy fog this morning, but in the afternoon there'll be sunshine. I'm meteorologist Matt Gray for the NBC Montana Severe Weather Alert Team.